Mule applications.
Mm-hmm.
Performance tuning features and considerations using HTTPS connectors. Okay, so how we are going to do the performance tuning, like the performance optimization and all, by using the HTTPS connector. So in HTTP connector, we are talking about HTTP for now, right? In HTTP,
Mm-hmm.
we use HTTP persistent connections by default. Okay, and set keep alive header true with HTTP 1.0 client. Okay, so 1.0 version is being used, and keep alive
Mm-hmm.
header is equals to true. That means you don't need to create connection again and again. Okay,
Okay.
so connection will be alive for a long time. Next is HTTPS connector. In HTTPS connector, we are using the latest version of TLS, that is 1.2. Okay, so older version
Mm-hmm.
of TLS has poorer performance and vulnerabilities. Okay.
Okay.
Next is performance tuning features and by using the JMS connectors, how we are doing it, right? So in JMS connector, caching is on by default. Okay, so caching is there in JMS connector. It caches the JMS sessions, consumers, and the producers. Okay, and you can use session cache size to adjust the size of the JMS cached session. Okay, so there is one property that is called session cache size.
I have one question. Sorry.
Mhm.
Is it like where we found like JMS Connect is a module? Are you going to add or
I'm not sure, but I think this is a property.
okay?
Okay,
I thought like
let
it's saying
me.
okay.
Okay, let's check it out. No issues. We have time.
Okay.
So let's say we are having this. I'm not able to see anything related to cache here, right?
Mhm.
Mhm. Nothing is related to cache here. And what if I hit consume for now? Because it is mentioned consume there. Mhm. It is not there. Yeah, caching strategy is there. See,
Okay.
session cache size. Okay, so in JMS configuration, these fields are there: session cache size and cache strategy. Okay,
Uh-huh. So is that JMS connector and JMS configuration, right?
yeah, it is JMS configuration. Basically, in JMS, we have the configuration, right? JMS configuration. So in JMS configuration, we have this option of caching strategy and session cache size. Okay.
So what is JMS connector? That's my question.
See, JMS connector, you are not aware of that broker. JMS is used for like queue. It is like a queue for you.
Uh-huh.
Like we have
Yes, correct.
VMQ. VMQ is a in-memory queue, and JMS
Uh-huh.
will act like a external queue. Okay, like your any point MQ, right? So JMS is another message broker basically. Okay, so external queue, you can say that. So where you are pushing the messages, publishing the messages, and someone will consume that message. It's like that. Okay.
So can you uh, go back to the okay, hold on, let me check one more. There is active. So is there like JMS connector separately?
Mm, yeah, JMS connector is there. See, JMS here. See. JMS
Yeah,
module
can
is
you?
there. In this, we have this multiple operations. In JMS connector, we when we do the configuration, in configuration we have this option.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, okay.
Okay. So let's go back. Okay. So cache is there, and you can use cache size to adjust the size of JMS cached session. Disable the JMS message persistence at the JMS server. Okay. Configure number of consumers of JMS on the JMS listener for high throughput, or else sequential message processing. Okay. Configure acknowledge mode to meet the SLA. So these are all theoretical part that I'm telling you. Like in JMS, what we have actually, we have cache strategy where we can provide the size of the cache, right? We can set the number of consumers so that we can have this high throughput. Okay, we can configure the acknowledge mode to see whether the message was received by the received to the endpoint or not. Okay. Next is performance tuning features and considerations using JMS connector and clusters. Okay, so this was normal ones, and this is inside the cluster when you are having a cluster. Okay, so set primary node only to false for queue listeners so that consumers on all the clusters can receive the message from the queue. Okay, so if you want that all the consumers should receive the message, so at that time you can use this. Okay, set this to false for the topic listener so that all the consumers will receive the message from the topic with the shared subscription. Okay, a shared subscription to a JMS topic ensures that the different replicas of the Mule application on different cluster nodes will receive different JMS message for the topic. Okay, so these things you will understand when you will be doing some practical on JMS. Okay, so for now you just need to understand what is primary node only. Like primary node only, if it is false then every node will receive the message. If it is true then only primary node will receive the message. That's the main point. Okay, and you should be aware of what is the difference between queue and topic. Okay, so queue is one
Mm-hmm.
to one and topic is one to many. Okay.
Okay, okay,
Next is performance tuning features and considerations using database connector. Okay. So in database connector also the caching is on by default. Okay. So it caches the DB connection basically. Okay. It uses the bulk operation based on the DB connector for batch processing. So for batch processing we have some bulk operations, right? Bulk
mm-hmm.
insert,
Yeah,
bulk
yeah,
delete, like that. Right.
yeah.
We can enable the streaming as well. Streaming, it enables to start the processing large result sets. Okay. Next is maximum rows and fetch size. You can even define the maximum rows and the fetch size. Okay, while using the database connector. Next is related to the VM connector. So for VM connector, you can use for HA. Okay, for performance, prefer flow references. Uh, Okay. For performance, prefer flow references within the same Mule application instead of VM endpoints. Okay. So if you want to go for performance thing, then you should use flow references rather than VM connector, right? So in VM
Okay,
connector, you can publish the message and you can consume the message, right? But
okay,
uh, if you can do this with the flow reference, then go for that. Okay. VM connector can be your persistent versus non-persistent. Okay.
mm-hmm.
Next is load distribution. So load distribution via inbuilt load balancing. So load distribution will be there using the inbuilt. Only for the cluster or the cloud hub workers with the persistent queue features is feature enabled. So whenever you have this feature enabled, only then this load balancing will be done. Okay. Next is
Can you
performance
come back?
tuning.
Oh, sorry, can you come back? Okay, so here it says like for performance, we are preferring flow reference instead
Yes.
of VM endpoint.
Yes.
So
Yes.
why we put here like as a feature?
No. 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 It says that like. Okay. Let's say this is your one flow, okay, in which you have one connector here, 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 and here, here. Okay. So this is your one flow, and you have another flow as well. Mhm. Able to delete this. Okay. So let's say you have another flow as well. In this also you have multiple connectors, right? So what you want to do? So from here, this step will call this flow to execute, right? And then these steps will be performed, right?
Mhm.
But let's say you uh, you want to do this. For this, what you do, you use flow reference, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But let's say you want to send the data to here, and then also you want to do the perform of like, you just don't want to wait for this, right? So what you can do,
Mhm.
you can publish the message here. You can use publish, and here you can have a listener, VM listener. Okay. So
Okay.
whenever the message will be published, it will be consumed by this one. Okay.
Okay.
And your flow will be executed synchronously. Okay. So this flow will also
Mhm.
execute, and this flow will also execute. Okay.
Okay.
So it says that if your work can be done using the flow reference, then go for that rather than using the VMQ. Okay. For the better
Okay.
performance.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. So performance tuning for batch job, like how we are doing it using the batch jobs. Default block size is 100. So whenever you have a batch job, the default block size is 100. So maximum
Mhm.
concurrency sets concurrency for the batch jobs. Okay. So you can set the maximum concurrency as well. Okay. Next is default is twice the available cores in the CPU. Okay. So if you are not defining the maximum concurrency, then it will be twice the available cores in the CPU.
Mhm.
Okay. Then run the comparative uh, batch sizes to find the optimum concurrency for the use case. Okay. So you need to do some testing and all to find out like what should be the maximum concurrency. Like if you are processing 200 records with default block size of 100. Okay. So to process two records in parallel, you need the concurrency as 2. Okay.
Mm.
Next is used fixed size batch aggregator. Okay. So you can use the aggregator as well. So you are aware of batch processing, right? You have worked on batch
Yeah.
processing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I did. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Then you will be able to relate these things. Like in batch
Mhm.
processing, we use batch aggregator as well. Let's say we are having one batch job for 100 records at a time, right?
Mhm.
For those
Mhm.
100, from those 100 records, when doing the processing, I want for 50 records some data to be transferred to the database, right? So I can
Mhm.
add that database connector inside the batch aggregator and says that the size of the batch aggregator will be 50, correct?
Mhm. Okay.
So use fixed size batch aggregator to do the bulk operation for supported connectors. Okay.
Mm.
If
Mhm.
concurrent execution of instances of the same batch job is possible, okay, round robin. So you are aware that we have either round robin, we have ordered sequential. Okay, so round robin, what it will do, it will be scheduling strategy on the batch job enables the parallel execution of the batch job instances. Instances means one instance will be having 100 records. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So these instances will be following this round robin. Let's say we are having 200 records, then we will be having
Mm.
two instances, correct? So these
Mhm.
two
Yep.
instances will work on round robin if you select round robin. So
Yep.
if you select ordered sequential, then first your 100 records will be processed, then your next 100 records will be processed. Okay.
Mhm.
So these are the scheduling strategies which are applied to your batch instances, not to your records. Okay.
Can you come back on? Let me see one more. Yeah. So so the order sequential and round robin. So when we are like selecting this one, like order sequential or round robin, when like
So
to
it
improve
depends
this
on you.
performance. I mean,
It
like they
depends on.
have two options. So which one is
Hmm.
good for more performance? Like,
Ordered sequential is the default one, so that like everything will be like executed in order, so that is better. So in round robin, let's say you are having 200 records and one instance is having 100 records, right? So
okay.
let's say both instances, those 100 records will be in parallel, not in actual parallel. It will be you can say that CPU will first work on one and 30 seconds on 100 first 100, and then 30 seconds for another 100, for then again for 30 seconds for first 100, and again 30 seconds for second 100, like that.
Mm-hmm.
Understood?
Yep. Yep. Okay.
So it's up to you which one you prefer, but mostly
Mm-hmm.
ordered sequential is preferred if you don't want to want any corruption of data or should be there, like if you want things to be processed in order. Okay. So next is performance tuning, the pro actor pattern in Mule 4.3 plus runtimes. Okay. So performance tuning Mule using the default Uber thread pool. So now we are having Uber thread pool, right? We discussed it in some when in one module. So you can
Mm-hmm.
hear out the recordings to find that out, right? So
Mm-hmm.
threads and concurrency patterns can be tuned for the entire Mule runtime in the scheduler pool.conf. It is located in mule home slash conf file. Okay. So let me show you that one as well. Just a second. So I am going to my Mule home location. It's Mule home location. I don't even remember the location, but it should be here. Tooling was related to tuning only, I think. This one. And then this one. And then the conf. So yeah, this one. Okay. Scheduler pools dot configuration file.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I can open this file. So you can do some changes here where you can define like which thread pool you are going to use. Okay. So dedicated thread pool. So it is there. So for dedicated thread pool, you need to uncomment these. Okay. So if you want to go with the Uber thread pool, this one, you need to uncomment these. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And the values are also defined. So these values should not be touched, but in case you are having customer hosted runtime, then you can touch
Uh-huh.
these values as per the requirement. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And whenever you deploy the application in Cloud Hub, these values will not be considered because this is for your local machine. Or if you are having customer hosted environment, then it is for that customer hosted environment. It is not used for your Cloud Hub. You need to remember that. Okay.
Okay.
Only accessible in customer hosted Mule runtimes, as I informed, right? The Uber thread pool minimum and maximum size can be configured. So you can configure these, like how many threads will be utilized. Okay. Each Mule application can also override the scheduler pool threading in settings in the global property. Okay, so in the global property, you can even some update the values also. Okay,
Okay.
so if you are having one application, you can define some values there. Okay, and then those values which are here will be overridden. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next is, except for the rare edge cases, MuleSoft makes a strong recommendation to not to touch this file, okay, and stay with the default values. Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Next is recommended tuning uh, parameter ranges for Mule this. Okay. So you can take this snapshot for this.
Okay, let me take. Yeah, I did.
Okay, so it says that for new this Uber thread pool, seek for Uber thread pool. Okay, so when then it will be used when the mule startup. Okay, and maximum threads, so minimum threads will be number of vCores we are having, number of cores, and maximum will be number of cores plus memory minus this. Okay, so
Mhm.
uh, this is the formula. Okay, and for
Okay.
Grizzly shared thread pool for your HTTP connectors, that is for your listeners and all. Okay, so it will be this one, course
Mhm.
plus one. Okay, and for dedicated, that means for your request connector, it will be this one, same as this one. Okay. Sh-
Okay, hold on. Let me see one more. Grizzly for shared and for dedicated.
yes.
Can you tell me the difference?
Yeah, I explained that in one module. I don't remember the module name, but the shared one is used for your listeners, and the dedicated one will be used for your requesters, request connectors.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So next is related to the CPU light, CPU intensive, and blocking IO. Okay. So in dedicated, we were having number of threads for either for CPU light, defined for CPU light and for CPU intensive and for blocking IO. Okay. So this is the formula for this one. This for this one also, if you want to take the snapshot, you can take it.
Okay.
This is
All
what
right.
this one is for dedicated. Okay. For Uber,
Mhm.
it is being handled by the Uber only. Okay.
Okay.
But in dedicated, you can define that for CPU light, I want to use this much of threads. For CPU
Okay.
intensive, I want to use this much of threads, like that. Okay. Performance tuning, the dedicated execution model in Mule for runtimes. Okay. So earlier, Mule runtimes only used the dedicated execution model. Okay. This used a separate thread pool for each three execution type. One thread pool for this, one thread pool for this, one thread pool for this. Okay. So you remember that CPU light is basically for loggers and all, where you don't need to do any computation. Okay. And
Okay.
CPU intensive is where you are having some computation required, like transform connectors. Okay. And the
Okay.
third one is blocking IO, where you are using some external resource, where you are trying to connect to the external resource, let's say database connector or file connector,
Okay.
like that.
Mhm.
Okay. So earlier we were just having dedicated thread pool. The Uber thread pool was not there. So dedicated, what it says that one thread pool for this, one thread pool for this, one thread pool for this. Okay. So this is mentioned here. Next is, remember the proactor pattern is implemented exactly the same way using the dedicated execution model as with the Uber execution model, but from three separate thread pools, which can cause thread execution error. But these used to cause thread execution error, because let's say if in one you define that this much of threads should be used, but second one will not be able to use this much of threads because you are providing the more threads to the first one, right?
Okay.
Remember, MuleSoft engineering recommends you should usually stick to the default Uber thread pool. Okay, you should always stick to the Uber thread pool, default Uber thread pool. If you must use the dedicated execution model, you should usually not manually tune the thread pools. Okay, so uh, by default you should always use Uber thread pool, but in case due to some requirements you are using dedicated thread pool, then what you should not touch those files, that configuration files. You should not manually provide the values. Okay, if
Okay.
you must tune the three thread pools for the dedicated execution model, the advice is same as all the versions of the Mule 4. Okay, so it says that same thing, that you should not provide the values by yourself for those three thread pools. Okay,
Okay.
this is the same slide, this one only. Performance tuning a Mule runtime. Okay, so performance tuning for customer hosted Mule runtime. Okay. So the JVM that starts a Mule runtime can be tuned with the standard JVM settings property. Okay. So for this one you can even change the settings properties as well. Okay. It
Mhm.
can be set in the Mule runtime's wrapper conf file. So it should be there in the Mule home conf. Okay, so
Okay.
Mule home is there, Mule home conf, and it should have a wrapper conf file. This one. Okay. Mhm. So you can do some settings related to the Java here. Okay.
What is the
These are
main
the
purpose? Or
system.
can you back to the note one more time? Here, like,
JVM
okay.
system properties. So in case you want to update the system properties of JVM, then you can update those values from here. Okay.
Oh, okay. So, but it's not recommended, yeah?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
It is not recommended to change any value, but in case there is any emergency, you want to use something that requires that these files needs to be updated, then you don't have any option, correct?
yep, yep, I know. You're
So
right.
you should be aware that where these files are there. Let's say if in case someone asks you that you need to update the settings setting property file, so you will be aware. That means the person wants you to update the wrapper.conf file, right?
Mhm. Okay.
Set the initial and maximum heap size. So let's say if you want to update the heap size also, right? So you can update
Mhm.
it from here. So if someone asks you, you need to update the value of heap size, because of that we are facing some issues. So what you will do, you will go to your wrapper.conf file and update the values for the uh, heap heap memory, right? Let me check if it's there. See here, it is there, right?
Okay. Uh-huh.
Maximum and your minimum, both are there. Okay, so set the new ratio to set the ratio of the old and young generation heaps. That is default, the value is 1. Okay, so you can update this value as well, this one, new ratio. So there are so many values that you can update from here that related to your system. Okay, system
Okay.
properties. So next is performance tuning for customer hosted Mule runtimes. The JVM garbage collector is selected and tuned using the standard JVM setting properties. So garbage collector settings are also there in this one. I think it's related to GCR. See here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
GC settings. So you can also find them and tune them according to your requirements. Okay. Parallel GC. Default GC for Oracle Hotspot JVM. Okay. And enough memory and large number of CPU. Optimized for the throughput. Okay. So all those values are defined here basically. New ratio is equal to 1. Right. Maximum generic threshold is 8. Okay.
Okay.
Concurrent mask mark sweep CMS GC. It uses more memory and CPU. Response time for the application is crucial. You need to check this by yourself. Okay. So this everything is just related to this file. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
how you can just do the performance tuning and all. Performance settings are also there. See. Okay. The CMS. See. CMS thing is there. Okay. So next is performance tuning, individual flows and components. Okay. So for the flow, the tuning parameter is maximum concurrency. So how you can optimize the performance. For flow, you can provide the maximum concurrency. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
for flow, let's say if you are providing maximum concurrency is equal to 1. Okay. That means you cannot run multiple, like you cannot hit that flow multiple times parallelly.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Next is your batch job. Maximum concurrency and by your block size, you can optimize the performance. Next is batch aggregator. Your streaming the aggregator size, you can do this performance tuning or performance optimization. Next is your scattergather. For scattergather also, you can provide the maximum concurrency to define like how many paths should be processed in one go. Okay. Next is performance tuning individual Mule connectors. Reconnection strategies applies to all the connectors. Okay, so reconnection is there for the all the connectors. Connector 1, that is your HTTP connector. Tuning parameter is use persistent connections. Okay, for JMS connector, the session cache size, cache consumer, cache producer, your acknowledge mode, and your maximum redelivery. Next is JMS listener. For that, your tuning parameter will be number of consumers, acknowledge mode, maximum redelivery. For your database, maximum pool size, minimum pool size, acquire increments, prepare statement cache size, and transaction insulation. For DB operation, streaming, timeout, maximum rows, fetch size. This will be used for performance tuning. So the summary of this whole module will be your performance optimization can be performed at the architecture, design, development, runtime, and OSVM levels. Okay. Load balancing and clustering may help to improve the performance, but not always. Okay. So the JVM instance can be tuned for Mule runtimes installed in customer hosted infrastructure. JVM tuning options include heap and metaspace sizes, memory tuning parameter, garbage collection choices. Okay. Streaming adds latency to flow execution but also reduces the memory footprints. Okay. Strong recommendation is that is you should always go with the defaults. Do not touch the files. Okay. So next is module 15, that is designing secure Mule applications and deployments. Okay. So at the end of this module, you should be able to identify endpoint platform security concepts and options. It describes how to secure the APIs on any point platform. Understand the security needs addressed by any point platform edge security. Differentiate between the MuleSoft and customer responsibilities related to the any point platform security. Evaluate security risks for Mule application. Describe how to secure Mule application properties and describe how to secure the Mule application data in transit. Okay. So
Okay.
introducing the Anypoint platform security concepts and options. So what all options are there for securing your applications basically? Okay. So security, administrative access to any point platform features. Okay. So you have that access manager, right? So in access
Mhm.
manager, you can define like which user can use which tab of your any point platform, which like which feature of your any point platform. Correct.
Mhm.
Next is securing access to the Mule applications. Okay, so how you can secure your applications? Securing Mule application connectors. Okay, securing the network to which Mule applications are defined. So either you can secure the Mule application by providing some security like username, password, and all, or what you can do, you can secure the network. You can use the VPC, VPN, and all. Okay. Next is securing Mule application property placeholder values. So let's say if you are having property file, you are aware of property file, right?
Mhm. Yep.
So in property file, let's say you are having your database credentials. So your password should be encrypted, right? So this is how you are securing your password, correct?
Mhm. Mhm.
Securing APIs with the policies. You can apply the policies using API manager, okay? And to
Mhm.
secure the APIs basically. Securing data at rest. Okay, so you can secure the data by using the REST APIs. Okay, securing data in motion across the network edges. So in the network also you can some secure some data basically, that VPN and VPC and all. Controlling the access to any point platform feature. Okay, so you are aware that we can have SSO. You are aware of SSO, single sign on.
What is that?
Single sign on, SSO.
No, I forgot.
Okay, single sign on means, as the name says, that you just need to have a single credentials. With that single credential, let's say your username is john at the rate uh, mulesoft.com. Okay, and your credential is uh, john12345. With the same
Mhm.
credentials, you will be able to open multiple applications. You will be able to use your any point platform. You will be able to use your another application as well, let's say your mule training account or something else. Okay,
So what is
so
the
with the
difference
same
with
credit.
OpenID with this one?
Okay,
OpenID.
openid, yeah, openid is a way by which you can have this sso. Okay, so there
Mhm.
are two ways mainly used for sso. So you can implement sso either by saml. Okay,
Uh-huh.
SAML uses XML behind the scenes, okay, or you can
Okay.
use OpenID, okay. So
Mhm.
these are the two ways by which you can implement the SSO, okay. And OpenID is also used. OpenID can also be used for providing the authorization, okay, but
Okay.
mainly it is used for SSO, okay. So difference between SSO and OpenID is that OpenID is used to implement the SSO. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Next is identity provider. Identity provider is where your all credentials will be stored, which will provide you basically the identity. Let's say you are having Okta. You are aware of Okta? Have you
Yes.
ever? Yeah. So in Okta, you will be having your all the credentials, all the
Mhm.
users, which will be
Mhm.
able to log in to your AnyPoint platform. Okay.
Mhm.
So that is
Mhm.
called identity provider. Okay.
Okay.
Next is client provider. Which is client provider? For client provider also you can use Okta. Client provider is which will be providing you client ID and secret to use for your Mule applications. Okay. That identity provider will be used for your SSO part. Okay. SSO, single sign on, when you want to log in into platform. Okay. And client provider is used when you want to use your application. Let's say you have deployed one application which is having client id and secret with, so for that client id and secret you are getting from Okta. At that time, client provider you need to provide the details of Okta. Okay, so identity provider for SSO, that means for login into your any one platform, and client provider for your applications. Okay.
Okay.
External access to share the resources among the organization. Mutual is important. Organization name should be there in both the accounts. I don't know why I have written this. It's not that useful. Okay. Next is understanding the responsibility for Mule runtime security. So why this security is required. So next, responsibility of Mule runtime security. So Mule hosted runtime plane. That means let's say you are having Cloud Hub. You want to deploy your applications in the Cloud Hub. Okay. So for Cloud Hub, what uh, MuleSoft hosted control plane. So MuleSoft secures both the planes, right? And
Mm-hmm.
customer secures the Mule applications. Customer is responsible for securing the communication between the Cloud Hub and the on-premise system. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next is customer hosted runtime plane. Let's say you are deploying your application to the customer hosted runtime plane on premise, or it could be RTF or anything. Okay. So it says that MuleSoft secures the control plane. MuleSoft will only secure the control plane, that is your anypoint platform. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Customer secures the runtime plane and the Mule application. So customer will be securing your
Mm-hmm.
runtime plane where your applications are being deployed. Okay. Next is shared responsibility for securing communication between the on-premise runtime, Mule runtime and the control plane. So this responsibility of the security between the communication of this customer-hosted runtime and the uh, control plane, that is your any point platform. It will be the responsibility for both MuleSoft and the customer. So it will be the shared responsibility. Okay. It
Okay.
can configure customer hosted Mule runtime to be FIPS. FIPS is I don't remember that. If oh sorry, files. Federal Information Processing Standards. So it says that are the set of standards to describe the document processing, encryption algorithm, and other information technology standards to use with non-military government agencies. Okay, it's related to the security only, basically. Okay, so can configure the customer hosted Mule runtime to be FIPS. Okay, FIPS compliant. FIPS 142 this compliant. Does not apply to the cloud hub. Okay, so what are the customer hosted runtime control plane? So customer secures both the planes. So this one, for whenever you are having this customer hosted control plane and customer hosted runtime plane, that means
Mm-hmm.
everything on the customer side. Okay, so these are the responsibility. Customer will secure both the planes. Customer is responsible for securing the communication between your Mule runtime and the on-premise system, and can configure the Mule runtime to be FIPS 142 this compliant. Okay, and this one, this everything on the customer is not supported now. You should be aware of that. Okay. Next is securing the Mule application endpoints. Okay. So if you have created one endpoint, so how you are going to secure that? So secure communication is the safe sharing of the information that cannot be intercepted by the third party in the middle, right? So
Uh-huh.
supported using how we can have this secure communication. It is supported using cryptography. Okay, so symmetric cryptography is there. where client and server share the same key to encrypt and decrypt. Okay.
Okay.
And next one is asymmetric cryptography. It says that server issues a public key to the client and allows it to encrypt the message. Okay.
Okay.
And server keeps the private key, which is the only key that can be used to decrypt the message. Okay. And one key
Okay.
to lock the message and another key to unlock it. Okay.
Okay.
So these are two types of cryptography. These were taught in colleges.
Okay.
So digital certificates, you can have some digital certificates. So it uses public and private key certificates signed by trusted authority or self-signed certificates also for the communication. Okay. So
Can
you
you come back?
aware?
Hold on. Let me see
Okay.
the note one more time. I have one question. Okay. So, okay. I know about digital certificates for public and private. So,
Mhm.
yeah. But when you come to crypto, where is the
Mhm.
crypto? This. So, so how we going to, like you say, client and server share the same key to encrypt and decrypt? So,
Mhm. So for
okay, client.
HTTPS, so for
Mm-hmm.
this one, for HTTPS configuration, when you have it, okay, so we have this TLS option. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
let's say if you want to have this, so you will be getting the trust store and the key store. Okay, so in the trust store you have options, these options.
Okay.
Okay, in this you can provide the certificates or the keys basically that are provided by the customer for trust store. Okay, you are aware what is the difference between trust store and key store?
Can you like explain me? I'm not
Okay,
more
so
clear on.
always try to remember it by using this word, that trust store. That means whom you can trust, right? So
Okay.
whatever the certificates and all that are there for the customers, okay, you can for the endpoints where you want to like hit, okay, you can store it here, okay, in the trust store. And key store will be your own certificates, collection of certificates. Okay.
So you say we saved here. So why we need like the password?
Now, here for let's say you created this API, this is going to hit another API. This is going to hit a sample API. Let's say WhatsApp API. Okay, so you want to trust the WhatsApp, right? So you will be having the certificates of WhatsApp in your trust store. Okay, in the
Uh-huh.
key store you will be having your own server's certificate, okay, which will be stored in the trust store of the WhatsApp. You can provide that to the WhatsApp and they can store it at their end. So this will be if you are providing both your trust store and the key store, then you will be having mutual handshaking.
For like in the trust store, you
Two-way
mean
SSL.
like two SSL? Oh, okay, okay.
Two-way SSL. Yeah.
The
Okay.
other one is one. Okay.
One-way SSL. One-way SSL is
Okay. Oh,
you are just providing your own certificate and the customer is having your certificate. Okay, so they will be trusting you out. That will be one-way SSL.
all
Okay,
right. Okay, got it. Yes. Yes. Okay.
so let's go back. Okay, and secure communication protocol supported by the MuleSoft is, and one more thing I just want to search like that. Not that sure. Is there anything related to crypto? No. For cryptography, like encrypting the message and decrypting the message, what you can use this data weave as well. Okay, remember I told you that the existing modules reside here, and
The
let me show
function.
you. what was the file? What was the name of the jar? Yeah, I forgot about the name of the jar. Mm, WLang. Yeah, this one. So here in the extension, in the modules and the util, core. I think it should be inside core. No, it's not there. Yep, crypto is there. See? Okay. So there are some functions that are used for crypto. So you can use
Mhm.
these functions. Okay, MD5, everything is there. You can use these.
Okay.
Okay. So use Mule applications and Anypoint platform support secure communication using symmetric and asymmetric cryptography standards, digital certificates. Okay. Supported protocols are your HTTPS, TLS, SFTPS, FTPS, SMTPS, and your IPsec. Next is securing APIs with the policies using the API manager. Right? We have already covered this, so I will be skipping this out.
Okay.
Okay. So API manager, how it enforces the policies that I have already covered in one module. Okay. This thing also, I have shown you each and every policy. I remember that. Okay.
Okay.
So this is the walkthrough that is related to the okay, security. Types of API policies available through Anypoint platform. You have already seen how API policies can be defined in API manager and then injected into the Mule applications. Right? At runtime, these policies are enforced directly inside the Mule application. Anypoint security offers uh, other types of policies that can be enforced at the edge. Okay, so now let's say you are not having this uh, you are not deploying basically on cloud hub. Okay, you're having customer hosted runtime manager. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
customer hosted control plane, sorry, runtime plane basically. Okay, so at that time you will not be having this API manager, right? So how you can
Mm-hmm.
use this, you can have any point security. Okay, so sorry, my bad. Any point security is basically for your RTF, because for customer hosted also you will be having your control plane in cloud
By
this yeah, sorry,
no, only for runtime fabric
RTF,
because
yes, yes.
yeah.
You can use it for runtime fabric.
Mm-hmm.
So any point security is used for your runtime fabric, and any point security is a different product. Okay, so it is a paid
Mm-hmm.
product. You need to pay for this. Okay, so it also provides some policies. Okay, so that
Okay.
can be enforced at the edge of your runtime fabric for multiple Mule applications within the runtime fabric. Okay,
Okay.
how edge security is used by the Mule application. Okay, so Anypoint security, edge security is a runtime fabric solution for perimeter, that is edge level security, for providing the security to your applications basically. Okay, Anypoint security is a stand-alone product. It is deployed outside the Mule runtime as the part of the load balancer or the ingress in the RTF. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
these edge security policies are applied to inbound requests. So whatever the requests that are coming to your application that is deployed in the RTF, okay,
Mm-hmm.
these edge securities will be applied to that inbound request after they are sent from the calling API client, but before they are, arrive to the RTF deployed Mule application API endpoints. So before API manager defined, the policies are applied. Okay. So
Mhm.
it will be applied even before the API manager also. Okay.
Okay.
So next is to the outbound responses back to the calling API client. Okay. So whatever the responses that we are going to send to the client, that is like your postman or so POI. Okay. So for that also you will be applying this edge security. Like in HTTP response, you want to add one more header, right? So that can be
So,
applied like
so
that.
how you define the after API manager? This is
Okay. Okay. Uh, where is that? My page. Let's say you are here, you are using Postman.
okay.
Okay. You make a hit to use one endpoint that is defined here. HTTP
Mhm.
look something something abc dot test dot com. Okay.
Okay.
You want to use this. So you will be sending the request to here, but it will first go to your anypoint security. That is another tool.
Okay.
It is go through your anypoint security. So
Mhm.
some edge security policies are defined here.
Okay.
Okay. So these will be followed and then your request will be sent to API manager in case API manager is used. Okay. So in
Okay.
API manager, you will be having some policies, then it will be applied. Then after that,
Mhm.
your request will be sent to your the server where your
Okay.
application is being deployed, right? And now the response time. So let's say you want to send the response, then first the response will go to your API manager. Okay. So
Mhm.
let's say there are some policies, let's say the policies adding some HTTP header in the response data. So that will be headed. And then it will go to your anypoint security. Here also you want to add some header or something, some extra thing, then you can add it here and then provide the response to the customer. So it will be like this. Okay.
Okay. So which means that we are adding additional proxy level
Yes. Yes. So we
layer.
are
Yeah?
adding one extra layer for the security. Okay.
Okay.
That is
So
called edge
when you say
security.
like in the
Mhm.
response, we are adding like header.
Yeah, that
Response
is one
header or
example. That is one
uh,
example, like providing some security and the adding some policies for the response basically. Okay.
yeah. Well, okay. Go to the design, the picture, uh, the
Okay.
paint. Okay. So I have one question. So okay. So the response, for example, for we are adding like header, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how when we are adding header, it's already hit the server already get the response whatever from the
No, your
post.
server. See, from here, yeah, the request first go to this one. Okay, then it will go to your API
Mhm.
manager. Then it will go to your
Uh-huh.
server, right? Then server is
Yeah.
going to provide the response. So in that
Yeah.
response, if you want to do some addition and all, okay, that you are doing in API manager. So four is this and fifth is this. So you are adding some policies here for the response. This was for the
Why we add
request.
the response? Sorry. Why we add for the response from this?
Because in some conditions this is required. In see uh, in some condition, let's say you want to send the correlation ID, okay,
Uh-huh.
or uh, some specific ID, okay, that you are not going to provide it from here in the code. You are not providing it in the code. You are having one policy and you are providing that header value from here. So you have a
Okay.
policy for that. Whenever you will go through it now, you will be able to understand. uh, See, There are multiple types of policies. In that policy, there is one policy with which you can add the header. So I am just providing you one example,
Okay.
that if you want to do some changes in the response, or you want to apply some policies to the response. Let's say you want to apply a policy to check whether the response status is 200 okay or not, it is 201 or not, that also you can provide. Okay, so it could be
Okay.
any security or any policy that is available in your API manager. So you can go to the API manager and search for all the policies in that, and you can think about that, like which policy can be used for the response data. Okay,
Okay.
so header injection and removal can be done, right? So see here, for the response messages or request messages. So it's up to you. Okay,
Okay.
so we were here, yes. So edge policies versus API policies. So edge policies that are applied on the any point security, and API policies are applied on your API manager, right? So this is the first thing. Okay, so edge policy, where the policies are applied in the edge gateway server, and API policies are applied in the API implementation or API proxy application. Okay,
Mhm.
how the policy implementation works. Okay, so for edge policies, a single edge policy can apply to many API instances. Okay, but for API policy, a single configured API policy apply to exactly one API instance. Okay, so
Mhm.
let's say you are having one policy you have defined that will be applied to your one API, right?
Mhm. Yep.
But in edge policies, what you can do, you can apply that particular policy to multiple APIs. Okay.
Okay.
So what are the available policies? So for edge policies, service virtualization is there. Okay. Your connection security and certificate management is there. Your content security, your quality of service, your application level, that is DOS, and web application firewall. So these are the available policies. Okay. And for the API policies, this is the list basically. Okay, so these are the categories, mainly the categories, right? Inside that you have
Mhm.
some policies. Okay,
Mhm.
so any point security, edge security overview. So this is the overview. Okay, service virtualization. So first one was service virtualization, right? So here also it is defined that edge proxy for REST and the SOAP, this will be applied to your your REST and SOAP. So this will act like a proxy for you. Okay, that means you are
Mhm.
hitting XYZ, but your request will be transferred to your PQR endpoint. Okay.
Mhm.
Next is connection security and certificate management. Okay. So for connection security and certificate management, what you can have, some you can have some SSS, TLS termination, certificate management, chain of trust, validation and configuration, CRL configuration. So everything is related to the certificates. So whatever the certificate related thing is there, then it can be added to your connection security, your certificate management. Okay. Next is content security. Content security is for your message inspection, for malicious your content and injection headers attacks. Sorry. Okay.
Mhm.
Header validation will be there. Message size limit can be applied. Message attachment size limits. So these will come under your content security. Next is quality of service. So quality of service will be your resource consumption management, quota and throttling, like rate limiting and all. Okay, that will come under your quality of service. Next is DOS. You need to remember that DOS is not provided by API manager. It is only there in your edge security. Okay. So this
Mhm.
will be at application level. Network level denial of service protection against too slow and too overwhelming request. Okay. Rate
Okay.
limiting shaping of traffic, peak protection basically. Okay. Request response inspection. So that will be for the DOS. Next is identifying any point security, tokenization feature and options. Okay, so you must have seen that in any point, in API manager, there is one option that is called tokenization. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
that tokenization and detokenization is only there for RTF. It will not be used for any other uh, deployment. Okay, so other any point security features. Okay, so tokenization is there. So in tokenization, it says that application data validation logic works as is. Okay, no downstream application changes needed. Compliance scope reduction. Okay, so it will be like you are having one, you are providing one value, credit card number is there. Okay, so edge tokenization policy is being applied, the tokenization policy, and then the token value is this. So there is some logic that is being provided. So because of tokenization is provided, you can have detokenization as well. Okay, you can have encryption as well. So what's the difference in this one? So there was some logic that was being applied here in tokenization. Okay, so in encryption, information anonymization, analytics without exposing the sensitive data. So it will be used for your sensitive data. So let's say for email, see the value is being changed here. Okay, and next is data masking. Okay, so if you want to mask the data, let's say you want to hide the data, then you can use data masking for that. Okay, let's see here you are using hash in case of 987. Okay, so in tokenization, same kind of token wall is equal to actual data plus token. Okay, there is no algorithm which is being used here. Okay, but in encryption there are some algorithms that are being used. Okay, securing application properties. Now how you are going to secure the application properties? So secure properties configuration allows the encrypted properties. uh just a second, sorry. 267 and this one is 274 67. Oh, it's too much. Okay. Okay, these are extra slides. Yep, nice. So secure properties. So you are aware of secure properties, right?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. So this slide is will be easy to go. Secure properties config allows the encrypted value properties. Okay, it supports multiple encryption algorithms and modes. Okay, and encryption key for encryption set as system property or environment variable. Right. That means application dot key dot that runtime dot key, or you can use encryption dot key, whatever your you want to provide the name. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
define one secure config for each secure property. Okay, install the secure properties module as the dependency. You need to add the this secure property module as a dependency. How you can do that? You can go in, like find an exchange and you can add it out. Okay, AES algorithm with CBC mode is default. Okay, so this one is your default algorithm and the mode. Secure property file. Okay, so the secure configuration properties module support both YAML configuration configuration file and the Java property files. So in YAML you need to add it like this. In Java property file it will be equals to, okay, host equals to local host. You don't even require this quotes. Okay, so encrypted value is defined in this exclamation mark and square brackets. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and in the quotes, inside the quotes you need to define it like this. 2 3 days, not 2 3 days back, last week I was facing one issue. I was providing the value like directly. I was not adding this exclamation mark and this square brackets, and every time it was saying that incorrect credentials. I was like
Oh, you
thinking
forgot that?
why. Yeah, I forgot. I forgot
Oh,
about this, like we need to add this. So
okay.
now I will always remember this, because for that I wasted my 2 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Even I
yeah,
will not miss. I will
Yeah,
remember.
yeah,
Yeah.
you should always remember that now. Because I
Yeah.
faced like this issue. I wasted my 2 hours. Now I will always remember this. So yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Accessing the secure properties. So till now we were just defining the secure properties. Now how we are going to access that? We can use the secure this uh, colon prefix is used to access the encrypted and the clear text values from the secure property file. Okay. So
Mhm.
you can use it like this. You can extract the values like this. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
secure data in transit. Uh, Okay, so this is cryptography module. You can even have this. So I was searching for cryptography here, right? You have seen, right? So we
Mhm.
have one cryptography module. So you can have it here also. You can add it as a dependency, and you can even use this. So you have JCE, PGP, XML decrypt, and all. Okay. So
Mhm.
whenever you will get the requirement, you can have this cryptography module.
Okay.
Okay. And as I mentioned that you can also use the data weave crypto thing here, this one. Okay,
Mhm.
data weave crypto module. So if you want to go through, you can even search it out. So these are the functions that are defined in that crypto module. Okay.
Mm. Okay.
So that can be used as per the requirements. So next is safely hiding the application properties in the Cloud Hub Mule deployments. Okay, so let's say if you're having a password, okay, or if you're having your application runtime key, so how you are going to secure that in the properties in the runtime manager. Okay, so if
Mhm.
you can use Mule artifact file. Okay, let me show you that file also. So mule artifact file is there in this. For now this only this one is defined. So what you can do, you can have one secure properties. Okay, let's say this is secure properties. You can check the spelling or syntax. Okay, and this is a array. Basically the spelling is wrong for now. Okay, you this will be the array, and you can say your application dot runtime dot key, and you can say password inside the quotes.
Okay.
Okay, always write this inside the quotes. Okay, so whenever you will be entering the value here like encryption dot key, so let's say I am providing this encryption dot key here, encryption dot key. Okay, provided. So if you provide that like that there in artifact.json file, so whenever you will be entering the value for this, it will be star star star. Okay, you no one will be able to see that. See here, it is defined.
Okay.
See, secure properties, and it says that this encryption dot key, secure dot encryption dot key. Okay, so
Okay.
if you don't want to like secure this, like secure colon, then what you can do, you can even remove this. Okay, so you can directly write encryption dot key. Okay.
Mm. Mm.
So next is setting key for secure properties config. For on-premise, okay, set from the JDK system properties. Okay. So for setting a key for on-premise, you need to update the JDK system properties. That is mule minus m and this minus the encryption dot key is equal to mule, like that. Okay, so this encryption key whenever you are deploying to the cloud hub, you can provide it in the runtime manager like here, right, in the properties. But you are, if you are having on premise, then you can have it inside the system properties. Okay, that means
Okay.
system properties means I told you now, it's in the
Yeah.
wrapper.conf file.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Next is set from the environment variables from the OS. Even you can provide it from the operating system and the environment variable. So in the
Mhm.
Windows, you know that we can set the environment variable, right? In Mac
Correct.
also you can have it, right? So in that also you can provide this value. Next is set the wrapper.conf. This one. That's what I was explaining. So how you are going to how you are going to add this like this wrapper.java.additional. Like you need to copy this out here
Okay.
in your wrapper.conf file. here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For Cloud Hub, set from the Runtime Manager console's property. Best practice is to set the key from the Runtime Manager console and hide as application property by listing it under the secure properties key as comma separated list in the Mule artifact JSON file. Understood?
Yep.
Perfect. Securing the data in transit, again same thing. So what is this? Yep, okay, so this I already explained that you can have this Mule cryptography module. Okay, supports a Java cryptographic architecture, symmetric and asymmetric. You remember that in one slide we were checking out in the first slide, like Mule supports this symmetric and asymmetric cryptography, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this is
Mm-hmm.
how it supports symmetric or asymmetric encrypting and decryption is there, and your signing and signature validation of the payload or the part of a payload. Okay, it supports the Java cryptography, this JCE, PGP, and your XML. Okay, these three are there: JCE, PGP, and XML. So DataWeave also provides this crypto module. Okay, this that's also I have already shown you. Okay. So next is summary. Summary for this module is Anypoint Platform Security provides various security features, that is identity management, client management, Mule secure property, hiding the application property, Mule crypto module, data weave crypto module, and TLS for the connectors and Anypoint Edge. Okay, we have covered all these in this module. Correct. So the last module is module number 16, that is related to, mm, this is also related to some security and all. Okay, so how much time we have okay, let's see how much slides we have for this. Based on that, we can see that today we have to do or tomorrow. Yep. So